Hello, I'm Abigail with KLVW, and I have a special treat for you today. We're standing here in the Strand Theater, over 100 years old. There are whispers and secrets in the walls. But let me tell you a little bit about the Strand. In the 1900s, a theater architect was commissioned to build this structure. His name was Thomas Lamb, and he was commissioned by the Ferber Amusement Company. The thought was to make this venue just a beautiful, beautiful place to have shows and for people to come to in the early 1900s. Lakewood was a hopping metropolis then, and they thought this would be a good place to have the theater. Secondly, they thought the theater would be a very good place to show Broadway shows as premieres as a test zone and see how it would do on the Great White Way. But that's just a little introduction. Let me show you the theater on a tour with our guests. So here we are in the lobby of the Strand, and I'd like to introduce my guests. So why don't you introduce yourself to our viewing audience, please?
Hi, I'm Caitlin Jones. I'm the technical director at this theater.
Hi, I'm Courtney Capisa, and I'm the theater manager here at the Strand.
Now remember I told you that the Strand has secrets and much history? So let's start at the beginning. So the Strand first opened in 1922?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that and what was the future thoughts for the Strand?
So it was designed by the same architect that did a lot of theaters up in New York, Broadway, off-Broadway theaters. And it was kind of like a staging ground in between Philadelphia and New York. Lakewood was a really popular city back in the day, so it was a pit stop on the way. And I know there's artists like George Carlin who used to do a test run before he would go film in New York.
Right. But even prior to that, we have some really famous people that did perform here in the day.
I believe we had a bit of a vaudeville theater to begin with. And then at one point it was a traditional movie theater. I believe this was one of the cameras. I don't remember this specifically, but it was an older style projection camera.
And the first film, silent film, was the Peacock Alley that played here.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know any of the performers then, they were too old for me.
It was Mae Murray starring in it, and she was like one of the big stars of the 20s in the silent film era.
Right. And during vaudeville, I see that Ray Bolger was here.
Yes.
And Ruby Keeler, and Milton Berle, and Burns and Allen. That was a comedy duo. They were husband and wife.
Yes.
And they were billed as Dumbbell, B-E-L-L, and the Smart Man.
So the theater seats used to be straw, and I believe they were like blue suede.
Really?
And they were rather gross by the end. So when they were finally all taken out, Rich Domino is one of the lead people on that crew. And he told me about how they had scaffolding all around the walls in the main theater. And there was this disconnect where they were working on the ceiling first, and then the seats were going to get done the next summer. And so you had all of the old blue suede straw seats, and then this beautifully redone, restored ceiling. And it was like looking at two different eras at the same time.
Where did this monies come from to restore? Because I believe the theater was in jeopardy in that it was going to close after vaudeville, and that it was just not making any money anymore. So how did you get the monies to start the restoration?
I believe there was a massive donation.
Yeah,
It was
It was a regular movie theater in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It played regular movies as well. And once it was recognized as a historical site it was in the early 90s, 92 or 93, I believe, is when it was recognized. And then we started bringing in donations to restore it to its original grandeur.
Right, right. And what's behind you? Let's see, since you're leaning against it, let's tell our viewers what this is. I'm always fascinated when I come to the lobby and I see this.
This is a hollowed out photograph. It's one of the older style projection contraptions. Most of the guts have been taken out of this. So, where the components would have been tucked in here. There was a massive lens that they would use to focus to make sure that the pictures weren't blurry. And then your film would go up top here and it would feed through and then out the front there.
So this was put in a projection room?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awfully heavy to be up there.
Luckily, I've never had to move this.
Oh, that's a good thing, that is. But it's really such a beautiful antique piece to walk into the lobby and see this. All right, let's go further on and see the rest of the theater. You want to say, oh, thank you, sure.
Last little tidbit I have for this foyer area is our marquee. Originally put in, I think around the 90s, it actually fell because in the top of the marquee, they had forgotten to add drainage. So it was almost like a bathtub up there. It filled with water and it actually came crashing down. And then it was replaced to what we see now with the LEDs and all the lights.
Oh my goodness, that's an interesting tidbit. I told you there's lots of secrets in these walls. Here we are on stage, and you can hear when I'm speaking the wonderful acoustics. I believe the architect made it, Mr. Lamb, made it so that performers didn't have to use microphones. So people were just able to resonate and their voices were projected. And to this day, this theater is one of the best acoustical theaters in the United States.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Now, what else did you want to tell me? It's so nice being on stage.
It is, and it's even better with the air conditioning, because way back when they didn't have any. All they had were, I think they used box fans before they got the AC installed. That was also part of the 90s renovation. We also have quite a few new additions. We have our lighting perches, those were in addition. Our spot booth in the back was added in later. This center staircase actually used to come all the way down, and that was since closed up, and we have access now going across.
Tell me about the filigree. Is this all original and it was just restored? And is there meaning to the patterns? Or is that just what they used in the day in the 1920s?
I believe it's just decoration. I'm not sure of any hidden meanings behind the walls.
Right, because I do see that there are it looks like almost Oriental women dancing. But we have visitors up in the balcony. Now, who put that? Whose idea was that?
That was one of our board members. He thought it would be a good little laugh during a show to see Statler and Waldorf, which are licensed Muppets, watching and kind of participating.
And that's their names, Statler and Waldorf. Just adorable. Every time I come here, I say, "Oh, it is such a conversation."
It's just a nice little smile.
Conversation piece. It really, really is. So now, is this wall, this brick wall, is that all original as well?
Yes. Everything that you see, aside from the more modern additions, we've tried to keep as historic as possible.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful to even be here and see all of this. It's just marvelous. It really is. So what is the seating capacity here? And did you add seating from the original, I'm assuming, since they were only straw seats?
I believe they kept it almost 1-to-1. We fit just about 1,000. I think a little bit more, but the exact number varies from show to show, depending on whether or not we use the VIP jump seats, if they're just using the orchestra, which has about 300 on its own, and then leading all the way back up to the tier. I want to say it's like 1,012 or something specific like that.
So now this theater has contributed so much to Lakewood. What are the venues that people can look forward to, and how do they get in touch with how to get tickets? Right here.
So we do a lot of concerts here. We have been doing a lot of concerts here with James D'Amico and Son Concerts. He brings in Almost Queen and Get the Let Out.
Oh, that one was wonderful.
It was. He recently brought in Meatloaf, which is a tribute to Meatloaf. And I still hear comments about how wonderful that performance was. Right now, we're right in the middle of our dance recital season, so we have community dance schools who come in and rent the theater for their recitals.
And is it a competition, or it's just that they just do the recitals?
Just
and
their
the
recitals.
The grandparents come see me dance.
Yeah, it's just the recitals for parents, family, see the kids dance.
Right.
We also work with the local special children's school, and they're doing a musical here. They're doing Newsies for their family. And if you ever want any more information, you can email us. You can email me directly. It's Courtney@strand.org.
Okay, we'll put that on our screen, so it'll be underneath, so we'll definitely be able to get in touch with you. So now I also know that at one point you had a dinner theater, right? So tell me about that, and where did you bring the food in?
I don't remember exactly where we got the catering from.
Okay.
But we did a 20s themed murder mystery for Halloween.
How much fun. How much fun.
It was such a blast. We even got classic cars parked along 4th Street so you could take photos before the dinner. Everybody was dressed to the nines. Everybody was in character, and they got
20s.
They got a little packet which gave them their story, what they were meant to be doing, and then there was a murder. So then after food, we had to figure out who killed the guy. Luckily, the actor didn't have to lay down the entire time. We made a little chalk outline so they could still enjoy the dinner.
So
but
cute, yeah.
It was a blast. It was a good time.
So now, where was the dinner? You left the seating, so it was out in the outer lobby?
Out in our gallery space.
So it was like a buffet style, and they sat down and they ate. What a great idea. You should have more of those. I'll go.
Definitely. I believe we are
candidate.
planning some for the future.
Yeah, I would think that's just wonderful. That really is. So tell me more about what you do.
So as the technical director, I oversee the stage. I deal directly with the clients, and I figure out what their needs are coming into our space, what kind of crew we need for every show. I figure out our scheduling, so what time they're coming in, how long they're going to be here for rehearsal. And then the other side of my job is maintaining the space, keeping our equipment up to date, making sure our stage is nice and healthy, even laying out our dance floor for the dance recitals, knowing the space and knowing the ins and outs of like, okay, this electrical socket isn't working. Where is that breaker panel? Because I think we have like 15 of them throughout the building.
Mm-hmm. And where is your background?
I went to Cedar Crest College for technical theater, and then I emailed the TD at the time, and I've been here ever since.
That's great. Good for you. This is a fun job, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been here about 10 years, TD for almost 3.
So now it's, I'm not supposed to, because we're going to air this many, many times, but on the holidays like Memorial Day, 4th of July, do you have anything special that goes on within the theater?
Not specifically. We do more of our like Christmas and Hanukkah season.
Yes.
Closer to the colder seasons, just because when it's so nice out,
people want
to be outside. We do have a couple of summer shows, and then the big one we have every year is Atlantic City Ballet comes and they bring the Nutcracker, which is
wonderful.
A beautiful classic ballet.
Oh, how wonderful. You must be sold out all the time for that. I could really see that. So here we are in the orchestra pit. So I have to ask you, how many musicians stay down here?
We fit anywhere from a small pit band all the way up until the New Jersey Philharmonic when they used to perform live for the Nutcracker.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Wow. There's air conditioning down here, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've never been in an orchestra pit before, but this is great. Such an experience. I'm so glad to be here.
And we're
Really am.
actually directly under the front of the stage.
Are we?
Part of the platforms for this do come off, so we can have an open pit or a closed pit.
Right.
And even for the musicals, most of the time we only open the center two so the conductor can see the actors. And then this
Okay.
peeks out right into the house.
Wow. That's great. And it gives them so much. Well, they get feedback from the audience then as well. So
Mhm.
that's wonderful. So now I know you give tours. So tell me about the tours and how can one book tours? Can people come just 2 or do they have to have a group of 6? And are they scheduled at certain times?
Well, we schedule them when people ask for them. So again, you can email me again at Courtney@strand.org, and we figure out a good time when everyone's available, and we schedule them so you can have as many people come as you want.
That's wonderful. And they see the whole theater. That's really, really wonderful. Next stop, where to?
We can check out underneath the seats. It's kind of like a basement crawl space.
Really?
Yeah. So this is actually underneath our seating area. This crawl space goes all the way out to the staircase that leads into the lobby. And this gives us access for all the cabling. And I've actually had my old boss, TD, he ran the Cat 5 cable that powers our speakers and connects it to our soundboard. And he has actually crawled through this area.
And now we're in this wonderful corridor. And it just has pictures all over the walls. Can you explain to me what is this? It looks great.
So this is our Hall of Fame. We have old and new coming down this hallway. This is backstage leading to stage right, and this is our 2 Jack and Dill dressing rooms. They're smaller, so they only fit maybe 6 to 10, depending on the groups. But we have signed photographs from most of our previous performers, even including, we have Taylor Swift before she got big.
Really? And
Yeah.
I see Dionne Warwick.
Ronnie Spector, who I actually got to meet. She came back probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6. And then we have George Carlin, of course. We mentioned him before.
Yes.
Gabriel Iglesias has also been here.
Jay and the Americans.
Mhm.
See that?
I've met them as well.
Uh-huh. Here we are in the gallery. And as you can see, there's tables and chairs, there's a bar, there's a small stage to my left, and people can rent this out for weddings, parties. Sometimes they have karaoke here, and it's a wonderful, wonderful room. When we opened it up, I thought I was in the Great Gatsby. So this is great. So to wind it down, I'd like to thank both of you for your hospitality and your knowledge. This was just a wonderful, wonderful adventure for both me and Mike Maurizio, my cameraman and manager of our station. So I thank you again.
And we thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you so very much. And for now, Abrielle says, signing off.